I actually grew up in a slum in Bombay. Somebody told me that if you work in hotels, you'll get to eat good food every day. I fell in love with the kitchen, and I didn't want to become a waiter after that. Sometimes I had a horrible time with my teacher. So I really wanted to become a teacher, not for the gifted students, but for people who actually wanted a teacher.
What is the fact behind the frozen food? Is it healthy or not?
Healthy? Absolutely healthy. Let me also tell you, I absolutely love frozen food. And it upsets me as a chef because I get to do so much less when it comes to food. But I love it as a person. People will take you for granted if they can't depend on you. If they can't depend on you, then they do not respect you. I've got Asperger's, ADHD, and dyslexia, which are forms of autism. A lot of people like to use it as crutches. I think for me, it just meant that I could learn so many things at one time. Then I've written 11 books.
What is ISH doing differently?
We change our syllabus sometimes every 6 months, depending on the changes that take place in the industry. We are an entrepreneurship institute. Sometimes come to me and say, I want to open a restaurant. What advice would you give me? And I said, please open it with somebody else's money. So Geeta also says that if one approach does not work, change the approach, not the goal.
Not the goal.
Loads of people enjoy being business people. For me, my evolution will never lead to business. I don't enjoy business.
In today's episode of Connecting the Dots, I am at Indian School of Hospitality with Dr. Zubin D'souza. He's an OCLD pass out, PhD, and Dean and Principal of this college. Hi, Zubin.
Hi. Excellent. Thank you.
So, how was your journey from being an OCLD pass out to becoming a principal in this college?
It's been long and it's been weird and it's been different. I think one of the things that really worked or did not work in my favor, and this is something that I openly tell everybody. I've got Asperger's, ADHD, and dyslexia, which are actually forms of autism. People call them. Earlier, people did not know how to diagnose it. When I got my son tested about 10, 11 years ago, that was when I got tested and I realized I had all these things. And one of the things about having ADHD is you're extremely hyperactive and you can't concentrate on one thing at all. But a lot of people like to use it as crutches for their life. And I think for me, it just meant that I could learn so many things at one time. I always wanted to teach. I always wanted to teach because sometimes I had a horrible time with my teachers because they couldn't understand me. And they couldn't understand what I meant and what I was trying to say. And you see, when I was growing up, mental challenges were not very mainstream. Even teachers did not understand them. I don't blame them. But it was so easy for them to just label me duffer or idiot or disruptive in class, when it was something that I couldn't really control. And so I really wanted to become a teacher, not for the gifted students, but for people who actually knew that they required a teacher, for people who actually wanted a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher for them. And that's been my dream, and I worked really hard to come and be a teacher. I did, of course, when I was doing hotel management, that time there was only that option available. It was a 3-year diploma, but post that, after working several years, when I knew I was ready to take on teaching, I went on to do a BBA and MBA. I did 2 PhDs, and this is apart from a whole lot of other certifications. But teaching was always something that I wanted to do. Even now, they do refer to me by my designation as the Dean and Principal of the college. But I still love to teach. I take classes sometimes up to 40 hours a week, which can be quite taxing, but I love it so much that it's beautiful for me.
So you have explained it in a way that it was nothing, but having these kind of, I will not call it disease, but problems.
Challenges
that you had. What was your childhood like? So you knew for sure that this is going to be a bigger challenge for me growing up. And what made you to come into hospitality?
Yeah, so there are 2-3. This question has 2-3 answers, and I'll start with the simplest one. and I actually grew up in a slum in Bombay. I grew up in Vadala East in a slum, and it was a very rough neighborhood. And when I wanted to take up a career, I was confused. We didn't have career counselors. We didn't have too many options. People knew that you had to go and you had to take a job. A graduation was a minimum, and you would take up a job as an accountant or a secretary or something like that. Girls became secretaries. It was a very different world I grew up in. And somebody told me that if you work in hotels, you'll get to eat good food every day. And I was so happy that I would be assured 3 square meals a day that I decided to join hotels. And they told me that if you speak English, you'll get a job as a waiter. And I was like, okay, I'm sure I can speak English. I'm sure I can string together 3-4 sentences together. I'll be okay. And when I've joined hotels and I joined kitchens, I fell in love with the kitchen, and I didn't want to become a waiter after that. And this brings back to the other part of the question, which you asked me, how was it growing up? So growing up was difficult, but I never understood the reason why it was difficult. I didn't understand why people couldn't understand what I was trying to say. And communication, getting people to see, I was always the weird kid, but when I joined hotels and I joined kitchens, it was such a beautiful world, because in kitchens, everybody's crazy. Yeah. And they just kind of accept you as one of their own. And years later, when I was doing research on that, I realized that there's a very fine line between being crazy and being passionate. So a lot of people look at it as the word for obsession, the Latin word is mania. And mania is where mania comes from. Yeah. And you have to be so obsessed about kitchen that you want to stand 14 hours a day in a hot kitchen, lots of pressure, people abusing each other. You have to be crazy to love that environment. And that's why I love the kitchen. It gave me discipline. It gave me purpose. It made me who I am today. If the world looks at me and says that I look like a sorted individual, I only credit the kitchen for that. I also credit my family, because my family stood by me at my roughest times. But the kitchen was amazing.
So you come from slums to becoming a principal. Now you're teaching.
Yeah.
And you've done a job with Oberoi's as well.
Yes.
Were people taking you as one of them when you started going up the ladder, because you became the executive chef?
Yeah. So I became executive chef. I've moved into companies where I was corporate chef. You see, I don't think people did not take me seriously when I was their boss, even when I was a sous chef, because my skill levels, you couldn't argue with my skill levels. And I think at a certain point in time, I became absolutely creative as well. And then people knew that they couldn't kind of mess with me. So the kitchen world is, people will take you for granted if they can't depend on you. If they can't depend on you, then they do not respect you. But if they are dependent on you, or if they look up to you, that's a different world altogether. And it's only up to you to create that image. So I think I was 22 when I wrote my first cookbook. It was a horrible cookbook. It was based on Goan food. I didn't like it very much. But I wrote it, and I didn't think it would get published. It got published, sold massive number of copies. When I got the chance, I removed it. I bought back the rights and took it out of print because I didn't like it. And I remodeled it into another cookbook called the Goan Travel Adventure Cookbook, which was much nicer cookbook. But since then, I've written 11 books, and my last 2 books have been on leadership. I wrote the Dharma of a Leader, which is based on the Mahabharata, and I've written Leading the Pack, which is leadership based on the animal kingdom. And I think that's made a profound impact on people, especially if they feel that they should not respect me. I mean, I don't think that I've reached that stage where people don't take me seriously. I think now, and especially with the way my hairstyle is, I think I intimidate more people than So that's not difficult to intimidate people. Yeah.
I'm literal short of words to look at. So what's the motivation that you had the challenge and you want to prove the word or prove your own self? So I'll tell you where this coming from. So if you have challenges, you think that you have handicap. So like you measure the crutch, the problem that I am not fit in this world. And if I look at someone even today, that if someone has this mental issues with these challenges, we perceive this that this guy cannot grow in life because of these challenges which are there. Do you think that now at this stage that you have reached, it was because of these challenges that you're facing?
I think my biggest joy and my biggest happiness has come from the fact that I did not know that these were challenges. People treated me like I was weird, and so I accepted that I was weird, and I just moved on from there. So I think my best way that I found to combat that is, if somebody thinks I'm weird and awkward, I made it a point to go out of the way to show that I'm weird and awkward. My clothing, my way of speaking, my choice of language. So after some time, people stopped pointing out that I was weird and awkward because I had accepted it, and it didn't make a difference to me. It did not worry me at all. And I have kind of, over the years, I've crafted a personality where people, although I wake up every morning and I say, so Asperger's is a social inadequacy. When you are out socially, you can't interact with people. Like even in an interview, I have to be extremely, extremely mindful that I don't say something absolutely weird. And Asperger's does that to people. And that's my biggest problem, that if I say these things and I do these things, every morning I wake up and I think, how am I not going to mess up my day today? And every evening I go to bed and I say, oh God, I really messed it up. I said this, I shouldn't have said it, and it's awkward. But my point stems from the fact that nobody ever told me that I had Asperger's. I found out only 11 years ago when I got myself tested. People told me I was weird, people told me I was stupid, but simultaneously, some people also told me, oh my God, you know so many things, and that only came from the fact because so many things interest me. So I read about so many things. I know all about the Peloponnesian War, and one day I was reading something about biryani and I ended up reading about the Mongol Empire and Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan. And that's how it is. You start off somewhere, you end somewhere. And so people think of me as split personality, somebody who is weird and somebody who's intelligent. But as far as I'm concerned, I truly believe that I am just a person, nothing else. There's nothing that I think about myself. I am who I am. I've accepted who I am. And because I've got Asperger's means I don't really care what the world thinks. I don't really care what the world thinks. Somebody can sit and abuse me and it won't make much of a difference. It's not that I'm going to go to bed and start crying. But it's who I am. I'm very unapologetic. I'm very open. And like I say, my parents know who I am. My son has given up trying to fix me. Yeah. My family understands or they don't understand, whatever. Who else matters in this world to me? My friends are my friends because they know who I am and why I am like this. And people who are not my friends don't matter. So there are lots of people who come in and go, and I told you, Asperger's sometimes is a boon. Yeah.
So years of job,
Yeah.
lot of knowledge. Why becoming a principal? You wanted to teach, that's the only...
Yeah, becoming a principal is accidental because the principal, I think because I had a PhD, I got the principal. So the principal part was not told to me. I joined as a dean because I wanted to teach. So I am the dean and I'm also the principal. So the principal part is just the signing authority, but the dean part is the part that I take very, very seriously. The part that I absolutely love, that I'm absolutely crazy about. Uh, Teaching students, interacting with them, allowing them to grow, seeing them grow. I think that's the part that excites me.
Tell me more about IS Indian School of Hospitality.
Yeah, so Indian School of Hospitality, amazing institute. Started about 6 years ago. Has become the #1 institute in India. We are the École Ducasse campus in India. École Ducasse campus has recently been crowned the #1 culinary institute in the world and the #1 culinary institute in Europe. And I am super proud to be part of this. It's founded by Chef Alan Ducasse, the École Ducasse, and he is an amazing chef. Yeah, he was here on campus. I really look up to him, and he's been extremely generous with his time and patience for me. And I think I share his vision, where we see that we want to give back to the industry what we got so much from. Yeah.
So that line that you want to give back to the industry, what is ISH doing differently?
Oh, ISH has got a load of things that it does differently, and one of the lines that we always say is ISH has been built by the industry for the industry. And if you look at our advisory board and if you look at our panel, you'll realize that we've got the who's who of the industry on our advisory board, and it was founded by the who's who of the hospitality industry. ISH also has an amazing little thing called the Flourish Foundation, which is a foundation that supports education for those who are economically challenged. So we do offer scholarships, but the scholarship is a need-based scholarship. It's not a merit-based scholarship. So if we find a student who needs to study in ISH, but the family cannot afford it, we bridge the gap from endowments that we take from the industry. And the scholarship is essentially not given to the student, it's given to the parents to be able to afford their child that education. And of course, we hold the children very responsible for continuing the scholarship in the second year and third year. So they have to maintain certain attendance requirements, they have to maintain certain marks, and we are very rigid on that. We really want this whole education system to flourish. Apart from that, we are a zero-waste campus. We have our own organic farm where the students learn farming. We are an entrepreneurship institute. We have the Alana Center for Entrepreneurship, which helps students incubate the ideas. You will see a load of our students setting up businesses. Tomorrow is International Chef's Day. We are the only institute in India to tie up with IFCA, which is the Indian Federation of Culinary Associations. We have more than 120 chefs from all over India flying in tomorrow. That's apart from local chefs, bloggers, influencers. Our students are setting up stalls of their own businesses. Loads of our students set up businesses while they're in the second year. We have collaboration rooms all over the campus. We are truly an entrepreneurship institute. And apart from that, we have short-term courses where we teach career changes. Career changes, we do a postgraduate diploma. And career changes, we have had students who are commercial pilots, students who are dentists, architects, who realize that their real passion lies in cooking. And they've come back and they do a 6-month course with us where we take them through. It's a very intensive course, over 1,800 hours packed in 6 months. And they see great value in that. You won't see ISH advertised much. Most of the people who come to ISH are through referrals. And we are not a cheap institute. If you walk around and you take a tour, you take a quick tour, you will see the sheer equipment that we have. I always like to quote this ice hockey player called Wayne Gretzky. And Wayne Gretzky said that I never play where the puck is, but where it's going to be. And our focus is not on now, the student now. It's on when they graduate and the 45 years that they're going to spend working. And so that's why we are geared for the future. When COVID hit, we were the only institute which started classes in 5 days, because all our classrooms are HD camera enabled with streaming facilities, and all our students could stream in, and we didn't interrupt our classes even once. And so that's why we truly were built for the future.
So you passed out from IHM.
Yes, I did.
And now you're a principal teaching student.
Yeah.
Do you really see there's a change in the academics going to come up in hospitality? Because I see the course, the syllabus, the way that has been taught to people, it's been similar for last 20-25 years now.
I think it's dependent on which institute you're referring to. And I wouldn't like to put all of them in the same bucket. Loads of institutes are doing wonderful jobs, absolutely wonderful. I mean, I'll speak about ISH right now because I think I'm a competent authority to speak about ISH. So we change our syllabus sometimes every 6 months, depending on the changes that take place in the industry. Like I told you, our advisory board are the top leaders of the industry, and we reach out to them every 6 months. So every 6 months we take our syllabus and we go and we say, this is what we're going to teach for the next semester. Do you see any changes that we require? And they'll come back to us with changes that are required. And so the syllabus will change. And the learnings will change. Like I joined here about 2.5 years ago. And in 2.5 years, I think we've done a 360-degree pivot, just facing the other way, now. And it's the number of changes, and the students see that. And sometimes the older students will say, oh my God, we didn't have this. And I'm saying, yeah, but the changes are coming in now, and even the batch after that is going to say, oh my God, we didn't have this. So we try to let everybody into this. We try to see what changes are going to come, check the feasibility of it. And also we do something very, very nice with our students. It's called a IEP. It's an individualized education program. And that's only possible because we are a small institute and we take very limited number of students. And with the IEP, we actually look at students individually and see where they should go ahead, what they are capable of, what their passion lies in, because everybody joins in wanting to be a chef, owning a restaurant. But somewhere down the line, they might change their mind. Yeah. They might decide to go into digital marketing or an OTA platform. And we've had students like that, and they're running successful careers now in those fields. Because of the IP, we realized early enough, and we managed to change. And we managed to teach the student what was required for his new industry and passion of choice. So, yeah.
Can we talk about more on food and this industry, how it is changing? So we have seen traditional restaurants to coming up to the specialty, the cuisines, and now people are getting into lost cuisine and taking it back. What is more to come?
Yeah.
In next.
So I always, when I teach the students, and this is on gastronomic art and culture. It's a subject I teach, and I absolutely love that. I speak about this infinite loop, of repetition that happens. You see, at the center of the loop are 3 cuisines that are never going to go wrong. So it's your home cuisine, Indian, Italian, Chinese. Okay, so home cuisine standard, Indian, Italian. So wherever you go in the world, it's home cuisine. If you're in Hungary, let's say, home cuisine, Indian, Italian, Chinese. Mainstays, 3 cuisines that have made the mark. Every other cuisine comes and goes in a 20-year cycle. Okay, you'll have Japanese, Peruvian, fine dining French, and they'll make the mark, they'll go away, they'll come back 20 years later. Organic, paleo, natural cuisine. A lot of people don't know this, but like if I give you a classic example, Mahatma Gandhi, vegetarian, okay? A lot of, I don't want this to be controversial or anything.
No,
yeah. But he was influenced by the vegetarian society, which was started in England.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think that because by virtue of the fact that he was Indian,
That's what
hailed from Gujarat,
Yeah.
no, but he was influenced by the vegetarian society, and I don't want to take that away from the vegetarian society. They did more for vegetarianism than a lot of other people have done.
Yeah.
Like right now, if right now you want to do a quick survey, you'll realize that per million of population, the largest number of vegans in the world are in Israel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So nobody realizes that the largest number of vegans in the world per million of population are probably in Israel, and we like to think, oh no, we like to hold on to old data, and we like to hold on to old this old beliefs that we are a predominantly vegetarian society. We do not harm, and I think we have to do far more than hold on to old data, old beliefs.
So after each 20 years?
Yeah, so 20 years ago, India probably had the largest number of vegetarians. And we believe that vegetarianism was great, was brilliant, was veganism for a lot of people is something the way to go. In 20 years, we started aping the West, but the West started aping us. So they have become vegetarian. And the vegetarian society, if I'm not mistaken, started sometime in 1880, 1887, something like that. I don't know. So they have also been through a 20-year cycle. Every 20 years, they've managed to influence a lot of people turning vegetarian, a lot of people turning vegan, and so be it. But after some time, like every 20 years, like Japanese cuisine was big. Everybody spoke about sushi. Yeah, sushi. There were sushi restaurants all over. Now it's kind of fizzled off, hasn't it? And you have sushi being served, no problem, but in a Pan-Asian restaurant.
Yes.
And then suddenly Vietnamese cuisine emerged out of the Pan-Asian restaurant, and it became big, and then Vietnamese cuisine started disappearing. And now you'll have very specific, maybe a bao restaurant, just doing baos or something like that. So it's very, very, it lasts a very short time. And the shelf life of a restaurant is 3 years if they don't change their concept. And I don't mean their concept entirely. They have to become fresh. Like, if I give you an example, like if you have a traditional Indian restaurant, you can't go wrong with Indian food. And you especially can't go wrong with vegetarian Indian food. And you definitely can't go wrong with vegetarian Indian popular food. Okay? So, but suppose you incorporate a little bit of the current trend, you will always stay fresh. Like, suppose let's say you have a South Indian dosa restaurant, and after some time, you do a multi-grain dosa, because that's the current trend. You stay relevant, you stay fresh, and you do a ragi dosa or a millet dosa. And what has happened is, this year is the International Year of Millets, and you suddenly incorporated a millet dosa into your menu. It means that you're trendy, you're fresh, people come for that. And so your restaurant might last a very long time, but if you didn't implement these changes, you would last 3 years. That's it.
So there's a shelf life of a restaurant, 3 years, if you don't do any changes?
If you don't do any changes, yeah. And that's the business, and we all know this. The first 3 months, very exciting, loads of business, lots of things happening. We refer to it as the honeymoon period. After that, there's a steady rise, plateau, decline. I think chefs and restaurant owners have a lot to do with that.
So it is basically the science of studying what is going to be in trend and then incorporating.
Yeah. So if you, it's like the stock market. Every 20 years, the stock market's going to go into a recession, and it's going to go into a hyperdrive. Every 20 years, there's a science to it. You can go 20 years, give or take a few months, it's exactly going to be the same thing. So the same thing with restaurants. It's 22 years, the same thing with food. And if you study it long enough, you will see a pattern. And when the pattern emerges, you can predict what the pattern is. And a lot of people think, oh my God, that chef is so cutting edge. No, that chef studied the pattern and picked up something from the past and used it again. It's as simple as that.
So how do you see restaurant as a business? So right now, we talk about entrepreneurship. A lot of young people are getting into restaurant. I've seen they are coming with new design, ambience, and probably with new dishes. How it's going to be in future?
Oh, I love it. Because I told you we run an entrepreneurial course, more than 85% of our students want to become entrepreneurs, want to become business people, want to own the business, want to own a restaurant business. And I love the fact that they are young and energetic, and they are so hungry for so much more, that they want to achieve so many things in life. My problem is when they turn 35 and then they become slow and lethargic, and that is the worry, because that's when everything comes crumbling down. And I remember reading some statistics some time back, and they said 8 out of 10 restaurants fail. And out of the restaurants that fail, 9 out of 10 fail in the first year. And I thought that was horrifying statistics, but it hasn't stopped anybody from trying to open a restaurant, because everybody thinks that they can make a business out of it, and everybody thinks that they can make money in it. And so very often people who don't take the course sometimes come to me and say, I want to open a restaurant. What advice would you give me? And I said, please open it with somebody else's money. Yeah, that's the best advice I can give you. Open it with somebody else's money, not your own. Yeah.
So I think what I've learned throughout, I was in hotels, I've done business, and I've been looking at this trend that if you have a good restaurant, you get a good name, but not a much profit. If you have hotel, rooms will give you more profit, and banquets sit in between. So restaurants are responsible to make you a lot of name and failure. But when you go to individual restaurants, they are more popular than any hotel which has an in-house restaurant. What should be done if you have a hotel, a boutique hotel or a 4-star hotel? How can you make a successful restaurant in-house that can compete to any standard restaurant?
So I think the advantage that standalone restaurants have is they are very agile. You see, in a hotel, and I've spent my life working in hotels, working in restaurants, and very often chefs who work in restaurants never want to go back to hotels back again. I have gone back to hotels after working in restaurants, and I've realized that there's one thing that is a common thread. In hotels, the bureaucracy of having anything done is tremendously difficult. You need an approval, then the approver needs to get an approval from somebody, then you need 2 other people to co-sign it, then after that you take it to somebody else, and that person says, okay, I will order it, but they haven't paid the vendor. Then there'll be a little negotiation dance with the vendor, and we'll go back and forth and back and forth. I think in a restaurant, what happens is you just make a decision and you move on.
Chef is the king there.
Yeah, even if he doesn't own the restaurant, he says, this is what I'm going to do, and the owner pretty much says, okay, if it's within reason. It's not like the chef suddenly says, listen, yaar, I have to get this goat from Uzbekistan, and only the neck part I can use for this dish. Then we are being stupid. But otherwise, I think within reason, I think a restaurant is more agile. Decisions get taken fast. It moves on, because in a hotel, by the time you end up making a decision, the trend is pretty much over.
Yeah.
You're coming at the fag end of it. Yeah. So it's not.
So are we saying that we're going to find good chefs in restaurant and hotels?
I don't think that's necessarily true. There are loads of brilliant chefs in hotels. There are loads of wonderful chefs in restaurants. The opportunity differs. Restaurants do not have brand standards when it comes to, let's say, Instagram post. And chefs get popular, chefs shoot more, chefs, connect more with their audience, so to speak.
So yeah, I think with hotels, the exposure is less of the chef, whereas the restaurant has more. So don't you think that future generation, which is Gen Z, which are now in college, going to come out, they will prefer more to go in a place where they are connect very easily, where their passion dies in, or the hotel as a stream. It is also changing. A lot of things are changing in hotel, but I still believe that restaurant is gonna be the mainstream in coming days.
Lots of times, some of our students also say, "I want to work in a restaurant. I don't want to work in a hotel." They do. They choose jobs and opportunities in restaurants, but very often, it's because of a chef that they admire.
Okay.
Now they'll come and say, "I want to work with this chef." Like as much as we know about Indian accent, we also know about Manish Mehrotra. You know, people know about or Saransh Goila, about Goila's chicken. You know, I mean, there are students of mine who will come back from the airport and say, "Oh, look at this! I've clicked a photograph and this is Saransh Goila of Goila chicken," and I'm like, you know, I make the worst policeman in the world, because if somebody showed me a photograph and said this person's a really bad man, you have to find him, and even if he was standing in front of me, I wouldn't be able to connect the two. But these children are so adept, so apt. She recognized Saransh Goila at the airport, clicked a photograph with him, and I was like, wow, you know. And I very often, and I'm not speaking about these chefs. I'm not speaking about Vikas Khanna or Saransh Goila or anybody, but I'm just saying very often, a chef's food may look wonderful on Instagram, and the chef may not be skilled at all. You know, it's two different things.
Yeah.
Putting food out on Instagram and being a chef is much more than just taking cute pictures. But to this generation, it doesn't make a difference. For them, great food is Instagram, and they'll eat Maggi noodles. Yeah, they're okay with it.
I would like you to put a light on few points which goes behind the kitchen. So I've seen a lot of chefs coming out and doing menu planning, participating in the profitability of hotel, designing something which can benefit hotel monetary. And as executive chefs are made of this, it's not every time it's a good food or, you know, how the plating has to be. It is also the economics of the hotels and the restaurant that you are running, because end of the day it's some business. People outside think the chef know how to cook good food. They don't know they are the people who know how to make good business as well. Chef as someone who takes care of entire profitability. If you can elaborate more on this.
Yeah, so I think the way it started is this is the very old-fashioned version of a chef who people think is only going to cook, and now chefs have evolved into far bigger personalities. You know, I think this started way back when Jamie Oliver, very young guy, but he was chosen as for the Naked Chef program on BBC, and he was just a good-looking chef, and he came with his own unique skill sets, but primarily he was a good-looking chef who came out onto the. I won't say the same about Chef Gordon Ramsay, because he is talented and he's worked really hard to be where he is. But Jamie Oliver, I think I would have the liberty to say a little bit about that. That somebody saw him and said he's a good-looking bloke. I want to take him on and all that. So when we talk about restaurants, and you know, loads of chefs have got restaurant concepts right and wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Chefs all over the world, Michelin star chefs, wonderful chefs, TV chefs, have opened restaurants, have closed restaurants, and they've gone back and forth a couple of times. But they haven't given up. And when we look at business, very often people think it's a natural extension of a chef to start their own business. Loads of people enjoy being business people. For me, my evolution will never lead to business. I don't enjoy business. I've opened tons and tons of businesses for other people, but I don't think I will do well as a business person myself. And that's usually because if people I know come for a meal, I'll never be able to charge them. I'll be a very bad businessman. So yeah, I'll be broke at the end of the month, but that's the truth. But I think chefs take part in loads of things to do with. I mean, even when I didn't have the business myself, I always take ownership of the business. I would take decisions that would never that would only benefit the brand, never that it would affect the brand. And I think loads of things like cost savings, or even if we look at small things like manpower, right sizing, I think chefs have done a lot of things.
They've grown.
Yeah, they've grown and they've evolved, and I think that this entire process of evolution leads back to the 70s and 80s. You had Marco Pierre White and Michel Gerard, and of course Chef Alain Ducasse, who owns 31 restaurants across the world. Massive businessman, loads of schools. I think lots of chefs have evolved and become great.
What's your take on QSRs? Because I'm seeing quick food is getting in trend, and it was already a part of where we've seen KFC, McD, and a lot of Domino's to come in. Do you see still there's a lot of more, or this has gone on to a saturation?
No. I think the only people who own as much more real estate than right after the Catholic Church is McDonald's.
Yeah.
They're the largest real estate holders in the world. And I think the way Subway has grown has been massive. Domino's, of course, is a powerful force to recommend. So is Burger King. And we always know where a Burger King is going to open, because if there's a McD's, a Burger King will follow soon enough right behind it, and a KFC also. I don't think QSRs are going anywhere. I think over the years, QSRs have also learned to be agile, or maybe regionally agile. And I always love giving McDonald's as a example to people, because I think McDonald's has done an incredible piece of marketing. I don't think McDonald's ever sells to people, but they always sell to the next generation.
Yeah.
When McDonald's started the Happy Meal, I thought it was a stroke of genius. Any parent would be happy to take the child to McDonald's, know that they at least have 1 hour of peace while the child, eats the Happy Meal, plays with the toy, drinks the juice, eats the fries. And I think that was gold. But because that child grew up in a happy environment in McDonald's, when they started dating, they went to McDonald's. When they got children of their own, they said, McDonald's, because they connect McDonald's with happy memories. And loads of people have had their internship or first job at McDonald's, even as a part-time worker. I think McDonald's is brilliant.
So I was just studying on the QSRs because we wanted to know more about how these restaurants are running. And we came to this conclusion that there is science behind running a QSR. It is not the food, it is the way that they have grown. It's because of how fast they can open new restaurant in their location. And we were going through this veg and waffle and KFC and Domino's, and we realized that it is about bringing in a cuisine or a dish to a place is one way of running a QSR, or second is the name of the chef. So you go to Nusrat's, to Burak, it is about the chef. And if you go to KFC, Domino's, and all of that, this is about the USP that they sell it. I think there is a lot more dishes that can come in and you can convert them into a large QSR chains.
No, I absolutely believe that, and loads of people would have been happy with Pizza Hut and Domino's, for example. But you have so many smaller, so many locally grown
brands,
pizza brands that are taking over. I think right in the beginning when Barista moved in and Cafe Coffee Day followed soon after, I think people would have called it a stop there, but no
space.
Yeah, not only the space. The space has moved into the premium space.
I just heard about Third Wave Coffee, which is now raising fund. They are expanding.
So just to let you know, one of the sponsors for International Chefs Day tomorrow is Third Wave Coffee, and they have grown to 125 outlets, and they just want to keep growing. And I don't think that we would have had this many outlets, or this kind of expansion is unheard of.
We are seeing this right now, and let's talk about the technology part and the science which is getting into food. I've just read that there is vegan meat is already there. And then we are talking about a lot of AI integration which is getting into food as well. I have seen that Ola is now working on a division called as Ola Food. There is 2-3 more companies which are working on the scientific part of,
Yeah.
and then there is frozen food which is coming in. Future of the chef with these technological advanced food mechanism which is coming in. How is going to be? So are we going to study all of this in next few years in the college?
So our students are already studying that.
Okay.
Our students are already studying food manufacturing. Our students are already studying vegan. We have a 6 weeks dedicated vegan course on veganism for them. Our students are already studying various forms of packaging for the industrialized industry, whether it's retort, quick freeze, nitrogen flushed. So we know that that's an option. Of course, packaging is not solely our students' passion, or that's not our focus and that's not our expertise. But if food has to go in it, we are definitely teaching them that. Part of the digital marketing syllabus is, of course, to do with aggregators.
Okay.
And they also go through a 1-week food photography course, which is a block learning module, which is done with a very, very renowned chef photographer. So they focus specifically on food photography. And that is also to help them build their online profile, as well as to help them be out there when they are speaking to aggregators or to digital marketing their companies.
What's your take on the frozen food part? Because currently the situation is that I was in some restaurant and they served me a frozen food I was not aware of. And this was my friend who said, Prashant, this is frozen dal makhani that you're eating. I said, how is it possible? It looks so fresh. And then he gave me an insight on the scientific part of it, that it is better. It is not bad. It is not unhealthy. And this is a quick way that is going to be future. And I met some entrepreneur who is now getting into frozen food, and a lot of people are. What is the fact behind the frozen food? Is it healthy or not?
Healthy? Absolutely healthy. There's not a doubt about it. That is absolutely healthy. And when you have frozen food, the advantage is you can infuse added vitamins, minerals into it at the pre-packaging stage. So it can be healthier than possible. But let me also tell you, I absolutely love frozen food, and it upsets me as a chef because I get to do so much less when it comes to food, but I love it as a person. And frozen food is amazing. In fact, a lot of European nations, there are a lot of restaurants that you walk into, and they're these lovely, quaint little restaurants. They'll have one chef in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that chef might not even be a very skilled chef. But there are these companies like Bidwest, Bidfood, and all that. They actually sell you things like whatever you think, whether it's a stew, whether it's vegan, whether it's vegetarian, they can sell you everything in retort packaging. And you can combine 3 or 4 ingredients, and you can say, maybe beetroot chips with this and that, and you just open the packages, put in the microwave, and you serve it. And the profits are huge, because your entire cost would be like 12%, but because salaries are so much higher there, you have to maintain your cost there 12%, 8%, and it's possible. And loads of people will come to your restaurant only for the combination, but it has actually come from a manufacturer, and they keep changing their product lines. They have like in excess of 8,000 product lines when it comes to food, and they keep changing the offerings. 1 week or 2 weeks, beetroot chips might be on a special also, so you'll get really cheap, and you can add it to your menu, and then it might be replaced with parsnip chips, celery crisp, whatever. But you can add it to your menu, and it's just a matter of opening 5 packets.
And that's gone. Do you think that's going to be future in terms of in large scale?
See, like I told you, there's this infinite loop of
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. And since we are slightly behind always, we will catch on to that, because at some point in time, we will become too expensive to be able to afford good cooks. So what's going to happen is these businesses are going to come in and eliminate the cooks. They might keep the chefs, but they'll eliminate the cooks. So we already have that. You have people who sell, for example, peeled garlic. Now, peeled garlic is an attempt to remove the cook.
Yes.
Yeah, there are people who will sell you like brista, the fried onions. And that's to eliminate the cook, or tomato paste. You're eliminating the cook.
Yeah.
And that's it. And now there are companies that sell even hotels, basic gravies. Hotels and restaurants will pick up basic gravies like an onion gravy or a veg gravy. You never know. And we've taken one step in that direction already. We call them cloud kitchens.
Yes.
And we call them cloud kitchens, but cloud kitchens does exactly that. There's one guy making your makhni gravy. Then whether you want to finish it with kasuri methi and cream, it's your call.
Yeah. So with this, we are looking at, so technology came in, and now we are replacing cook with a lot of things because frozen foods are there.
Yeah.
The important skill of the future of the chef and the people who are going into this cooking division will be innovation.
Innovation is one thing. I think, in my mind, I think the basic purpose that it solves is employment. Because when you're looking at a cloud kitchen, the innovator or the guy in charge will be the chef. Yeah. But coming back and trying to combine your story on the frozen food, grandmothers would get very, very upset if we ate green peas all through the year. And when frozen green peas first came, everybody looked at it. Ye to peela ho gaya. This has happened. It's not very good, not very nice. And now everybody's freezer has got a packet of green peas, and we buy a 500 gram of packet of green peas. We take out 100 grams, wrap it up, put it back in a freezer, and it's standard. It's accepted all over. It may have taken us 10 years to accept it, but it's accepted. Otherwise, we would have to wait for winter for green peas to come. Then we'll buy 2 kilos of green peas, and all the kids in the family will sit and just shell green peas and get irritated shelling green peas. But now, thanks to the power of freezing, we have it all through the year, and by extension, we've got green peas, we've got corn, and now we've got mixed vegetables coming in frozen. I think it's brilliant. Spinach is there. Everything. And I think it's brilliant. Very often, sometimes the chef in me will say, "Oh my God, who uses this product?" And then members of my family will turn around and tell me, "You keep quiet. This is solving my problem." So I okay,
So I'll leave it to our last question to wrap it up. What is the advice that you'd like to give to any student, to anyone who want to pursue the career in culinary, want to become a chef? So earlier it was that your hand should have a magic of a taste, but now it has become more science, more analytics, more data. What are the trade and the things that they should look at?
No. So any student who comes here, and the first thing they ask me is, which stream should I take or what? And I say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like I told you, we even got people who are career changers, who want to come in. Somebody who's been a commercial pilot, somebody who's been a dentist, spent 5 years studying to be a dentist, now decided, "Nay, I want to become a chef." And I think there's only one piece of advice I always tell them. If you wake up in the morning and you feel that I want to be a chef, then you should be a chef. If you wake up in the morning and you feel I want to cook, if you feel I am so attached to the kitchen, I can't think of anything else, become a chef. If you are confused, if you don't know what you want to do, join hospitality. Because that one unit will tell you what to do. You can become anything you want to. And if you want to become a chef, come to me. We'll teach you. Because that's what we do. We don't want somebody who's learned from YouTube and all. Sometimes it's much more difficult for them to unlearn all that. We prefer people who don't know anything, who admit they don't know anything, and we can teach them. And like I told you right in the beginning, that I joined this so I could teach. And I want to teach people who need me, not somebody who's a Michelin star chef who I can't teach. You know.
Thank you, Chef. It was lovely talking to you.
That was lovely. I think I spoke a little too much, so
That's fine.
You are watching biggest hospitality podcast by a hotelier. Stay tuned. Follow us for more.